Welcome back. This is the fourth video on what parents, 7 ways of what parents can do to raise emotionally intelligent children. This is based on an article. I'll put in the details below that I found, and I just really resonated with of these 7 points, and so I thought I'd make some videos talking about it from how I see it and from what I've learned. A lot of this I've learned through things I've read in books. Dr. Daniel Siegel's a big one. The Whole Brain Child, I think, speaks to many of these things, not all of them, um, and lots of others. Gordon Neufeld is another author. Hold On to Your Kids, which I think really speaks to my view on parenting. Right, having from a from an attachment perspective, secure attachment as much as possible. And I'll have some other videos about that. But the fourth point is that parents didn't force please, thank you, and sorry. And I think this one is probably the hardest one for me because I didn't necessarily do this with my son as much as I could have. I had moments of this, but I see how this actually is super important and super helpful for parents, especially of young kids. Most of us, and I was one of them, was raised that, you say please and thank you for everything. Where as a Canadian, we have this kind of funny thing that we say please and thank you like way too much. And maybe that's true, actually. Not that manners don't have a place, they certainly do, but we at times could be over apologetic. I can see that. And even saying sorry. But I, I think this speaks to a bigger thing in society is that we can't force kindness, we can't force morality. We're trying to do it, we're trying to make laws about it. But, in our nervous systems, generally, if we're forced to do something, there's this natural, there's a term for it, I can't think of it right in this moment, but there's this natural pushback on it. And, part of being a teen is forming your own identity and your own way of seeing the world, kind of taking all the perspectives you've had as a child and try to make sense of that as you become an adult. And, being forced to do things, you can build resentment, you can build, um, natural defiance or rebellion of it. Having an apology or saying please, saying sorry if you hurt somebody or if saying please for something or thank you, then it becomes just this kind of natural habit, but not necessarily an authentic or felt one. What I've found with young children is that if you speak to them, they might not have the words to express sorry, but they're feeling it. And so maybe we can help them understand what they're trying to communicate without giving them the words necessarily. Okay? We might have to give them the words, but if they see that in us, again, modeling is the thing. We repeat mostly what we see, what we experience, rather than what we're told. And we can learn certain things mentally, but behaviorally, we model a lot more, especially, kids, they look up to their parents or older siblings or, the authorities in their lives as if they know what they're doing. And so they tend to model most of their behavior. They have their own personalities, of course, but they model so much of their behavior after what they see. Not so much what we tell them they should do, but they trust what they actually experience. It's the same for adults. If they see us saying please and thank you, if they see us apologizing, just like the last point, to apologize and say sorry when something, they will do that on their own. And then it'll come from a different place. It'll come from a place of like recognizing the feeling of like, oh, that doesn't feel good when I did that to that person. Being able to read another person's facial expressions or tone of voice. When you do something to someone that is upsetting for them, often, depending on the person, but most people are going to react. Maybe they withdraw their energy, their attention, they look down, they, in more extreme form, they're going to have tears of upset or, and kids read these cues. And so they start to make sense. And when they see us do it, they see mom and dad like, oh yeah, dad kind of got mad with mom, but he apologized. This speaks to another thing, like letting our kids see. We often want to hide our kids from the hard parts, but they feel it. They feel the tension in the relationship, and they should see that. I'm not talking about like violence or anything extreme like that, but they should. It's okay if they see that, but they should also see the repair of that. Because relationship is not just about perfection and treating someone perfectly. It's not human. But disrupt, that's what us therapists call it in a relationship when there's upset, actually builds the relationship if there's the repair afterwards. That can be an apology. That can be, taking responsibility for your part in what happened. But when we force these things, our kids don't get the whole experience of like, oh, I say sorry because I feel bad and I care about this person. I say please because I desire that thing. So please, can I have that thing? Thank you because I'm grateful. Rather than just this kind of like automatic words. And this is one I didn't do with my son, and I wish I did. But I do know with him, when he brings something to me, you know, let's say he's being mean to a kid at school, which has happened. I'll often ask him questions to help him understand how that other child might be feeling. I might even remind him about some time when another kid at school with treated him poorly or without consideration, so that he can connect to that experience. Because this is how we make sense of things. So we can force our kids to apologize to the kid we bullied at school or whatever, but we don't get to the root of it and have our child actually understand the experience. We're robbing them in a sense of really, being authentic in our apology, in our gratitude, in our desires. I think we can help our kids by letting them understand maybe the importance of saying please and thank you. We might even talk to them about it, why we do it. But when we force something, it can often have the opposite effect with the rebellion part. Or it can just become this kind of flat thing that we don't really have an embodied or a fully integrated understanding of. And so, once our parents aren't around to remind us to be saying please and thank you all the time, we might not keep doing it because it's not a natural thing that, oh, when I see that I've upset somebody or when someone's doing something kind for me, it feels good, to do that, to say that thing, please, or thank you, to apologize rather than, oh, I should just do it because that's what we do. I hope that makes sense. I'll see you in the next video.